postal workers on strike. What led to the surprise walkout? 2 dead in a house fire.
I couldn't go in because the smoke was bellowing, and you can see the oxygen going in.
Despite neighbors' efforts to save them. And world record breaker.
He's been a very big teddy bear for 8 years. So being in here is a pretty neat feeling.
The gentle giant who grew and grew and grew. Good afternoon. We begin with breaking news. Postal workers across the country are on strike. They walked off the job 1 hour ago after the federal government announced door-to-door mail delivery will eventually come to an end for almost all Canadian households within a decade. Stephanie Thomas joins us now from a Canada Post office in Mission. And Stephanie, Ottawa says the Crown Corporation needs to make immediate changes to save money.
Right, Ian. We've learned that Canada Post is effectively insolvent. So the federal government is demanding immediate changes, while other changes will be noticed over a period of years. Now, mail carriers will no longer be doing door-to-door delivery in favor of community boxes. And this change will take place over the next 9 years. 3/4 of Canadians already receive mail in a communal location. But starting now, the letter mail delivery standard will be lowered and will take longer. So instead of 2 to 4 days, it could take 7 days. Now, since 2018, Canada Post has lost more than $5 billion, and it's on track to lose close to $1.5 billion more this year. Some Calgarians say they're siding with the feds on this one.
Well, something had to change. Canada Post can't afford to be running a deficit year after year, and the federal government can't afford to bail them out.
You know, it's easier, if we could still do it old-fashioned way. So, but you can't do anything about it. The world is changing.
There are still 4 million Canadian addresses that still receive mail delivered to their door. We also believe that there is an estimate of 2,500 affected postal workers who are taking part in this job action just here in Calgary. We have no word on how long the strike will last. Ian?
Stephanie, thanks very much. 2 people are dead following a house fire in the village of Torrington, about an hour's drive northeast of Calgary. Tyson Fedor is in that community, and Tyson, neighbors tried everything to save the people inside and fight the flames.
This community has been left shook after a fire ripped through the home behind me, reducing it to rubble early Wednesday morning. A man and a woman unable to escape. Residents here say the fire began sometime around 6:15 a.m. along First Avenue in Torrington with what sounded like an explosion. Embers from the fire jumped back alleys and started neighboring fences on fire. A 57-year-old man and 38-year-old woman who were dating, according to residents, died. Torrington's volunteer fire department, along with members from neighboring communities like Three Hills and Linden, were on scene battling the blaze. Kevin Damon says his backyard fence caught fire and he was watering it down with his garden hose. He then heard screams coming from the fire, and that's when he rushed into action to try and save those inside.
I started banging on the front door, and then I sort of did that Hercules thing and smashed the front door in. And then I couldn't go in because the smoke was bellowing, and you can see the oxygen going in, so I just had to take a knee and start screaming and screaming and screaming, and then I just couldn't go in.
Olds RCMP say the fire is not suspicious, but an investigation remains ongoing. Autopsies for both victims were expected to take place in Calgary on Thursday. Back to you.
Tyson, thank you. An environmental sciences expert says the chance a young boy missing in the Crow's Nest Pass is still alive is high. Darius McDougall, who is now 6 years old, disappeared while walking with his family near the Island Lake campground on Sunday. RCMP say a full-scale search continues. An environmental expert from Lethbridge Polytechnic tells CTV News that if Darius found water and some shelter and temperatures did not dip too much, there is a chance of surviving 5 days. Searchers have been playing one of Darius's favorite songs in the area in the hopes he will respond. Alberta is once again the hottest destination for Canadians looking to call a new province home. For the third straight year, Statistics Canada data shows Alberta leading the country in net interprovincial residents. From April to June, the province added 6,100 interprovincial migrants. That's bumped Alberta's population up over 5 million for the first time.
Each of the last 2 years, Alberta has added 200,000 people. So think about that, like adding a Lethbridge and a Red Deer each year for the past 2 years. And all the houses that are in those places, you know, we need to build those again. We think we'll build more than 50,000 houses this year, probably more houses than at any time in history.
And interprovincial migrants don't even make up the largest share of new residents. More than 11,000 international migrants found a home in Alberta last quarter. A neighborhood in the Northwest is getting a fresh look this weekend thanks to a local initiative. The Calgary Climate Hub's Forest for Calgary initiative is holding an event Saturday, planting a mini forest in the Royal Oak area, similar to this one in Bowness. Over 800 trees, shrubs, and ground-covering plants will be planted. This is the 5th mini forest to be planted in the city. Organizers say it makes a difference as we deal with the changing climate.
As Calgary is getting hotter and drier, these tiny forests are going to become really important because they're a place for shade where people can go and find some cool air when it's a hot day. It also brings in birds and pollinators. It really helps restore the soil.
Miller adds that restored soil can absorb more water from heavy rainfalls, helping reduce the risk of flooding. They're looking for volunteers, so if you would like to help, they start planting at 10 a.m. Saturday at the Rocky Ridge Royal Oak Community Association. And of course, all those volunteers are wondering, what will the weather be like this weekend? And we're getting into a period where it's just less consistent, right?
Yes, yeah. Fall is a transitional season. So we're in the 20s, then in the teens, and then in the 20s, and then in the teens. So tomorrow we're in the teens. Today we're in the 20s. I'll show you the longer range forecast in just a little bit in the show, but right now we're at 22 at the airport. The winds out of the north, so these winds are going to pick up through the evening and through tomorrow, and it's going to knock things down to a daytime high in the teens for tomorrow, but it will be a mainly bright day. This is your 24-hour forecast brought to you by 5th Avenue Volkswagen, where you can win your ride. See dealer for details or visit 5thavvw.com. And 9 degrees for the morning at 8 a.m., so cool start as now we're used to, and 18 is our high. In the afternoon, lots of sunshine. Your full forecast just ahead, Ian.
Thanks, Danielle. Well, check this out. She got him as a pet. Just ahead, the massive Alberta steer who has earned a place in the Guinness Book of World Records. And a new drug treatment for schizophrenia. A patient tells us how it will help her. Back to breaking news now. Canada Post workers are on strike nationwide. This is a picket line that has formed at a Canada Post depot in northeast Calgary. They walked off the job at 4 p.m. after Ottawa announced door-to-door delivery will eventually come to an end. The Alberta Institute for Wildlife Conservation is hosting an online auction to raise funds for injured and orphaned wildlife. The money raised will help care for injured or abandoned wildlife for the rest of the year. Staff members have dealt with more than 1,800 animals this year. They're seeing a lot of injured migratory birds like these Swainson's hawks. The goal of the auction is to raise $15,000.
And we have such an amazing community here at AWIC between volunteers and donors, people that know people, and we just had a whole bunch of different stuff donated across different, like a really large spectrum of things. So there's kind of something on there for everybody.
There are close to 80 items listed on the website. The auction wraps up tonight at 7. A Holstein from Vulcan has secured the record for the tallest steer in the world. Beef and his owner, Jasmine Entz, came to Calgary to celebrate a mega moment. She never intended to go for a record, but was a fan of the Guinness World Record books growing up. And a few years ago, wondered how her pets might stack up with the competition. When the record was measured in 2023, he stood 6'5", and he's grown another 1.5 inches since then. Entz works at a dairy and wanted a calf as a pet. He was regular sized at birth, but grew a lot in 8 years.
So it's been 8 years of him just seeing me as mom, and you know, it's It's funny, like you don't think about that kind of stuff until I leave for a weekend and I come home and he's happy to see me. And so he's been a very big teddy bear for 8 years. So being in here is a pretty neat feeling.
Jasmine spends $400 a month to feed beef with a minivan-sized salad of alfalfa. But he's a teddy bear.
Yeah, he's a teddy bear.
A teddy bear of a steer. Amazing images there. We heard a bit there. The wind was picking up.
Yeah, the wind's picking up a little bit. It's out of the north. Things are going to cool down a little bit. So we're in the teens tomorrow for a daytime high. But also what's just happened is we went up from 22 degrees to 24 degrees. So we increased in temperature. We have fairly blue skies out there, a little bit of cloud cover. It's really a nice day considering we're nearing the end of the month and this is officially fall. So checking out temperatures, 24, the high so far in Calgary, 20 in Regina, Saskatoon, 21 in Edmonton, 20 in Winnipeg. So in those lower 20s for the most part in the prairies, as you can see, but in southern Alberta, this is where it's the warmest, especially the southeast corner. So just to zoom in and show you temperatures, check this out. 30 degrees in Lethbridge, Brooks, close to that in Medicine Hat, 30 in Milk River, and it's 26 right now in Pincher Creek. We have had a bit of a windy day today, gusts around 40-50 kilometers per hour for most communities, and that will die down overnight. This is what's tracking towards us. Now the mountains are going to keep most of that moisture off to the west, but some cloud cover will reach its way in for tomorrow morning. So that will start to move in tonight. Cloudy periods are possible early in the morning. This is a shot at 5 o'clock. Small chance of an isolated shower near the Medicine Hat area, near the Lethbridge area tomorrow morning. In Calgary, we're just looking at cloud cover early in the morning, then clearing out. So a really nice bright day for the most part. It just won't be as warm. Our daytime highs will be in the teens. And then as you can see, the mountains will keep all that moisture off to the west, but we'll have some cloud cover creep in on Saturday as well. And that may be for most of the day. All right, tomorrow, check this out. 18 degrees is our high, so not quite the 24 that we had today, but mainly bright. 21 degrees for Saturday, mainly cloudy. Then we're back down to 17. This is that roller coaster ride we were talking about earlier in the show. And then back up to 23 by the time we get to Monday. Tuesday, National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. You're looking at a small chance of late day showers, mostly cloudy skies, and a high of 20. And just to quickly show you that 10-day trend to see the ups and downs in the teens and 20s, that's going to keep going on even through next week as well.
A new treatment for schizophrenia is now publicly covered in Alberta, giving thousands of patients another option to manage the mental disorder. Vraylar is an atypical antipsychotic already covered in Ontario, Quebec, and BC. It's now available to Albertans with government-sponsored drug coverage. Doctors say the medication helps with both positive symptoms such as hallucinations and delusions, as well as negative symptoms like social withdrawal and lack of motivation. Calgarians with schizophrenia, like Barb Sarsfield, say the approval will help reduce stigma and make sufferers feel supported.
I've heard it's done well in the United States and in other places, and I'm really pleased that they're bringing it to Alberta. To the persons suffering with schizophrenia, for me, there was a light at the end of the tunnel, and there can be for you.
The province says about 13,000 Albertans could benefit from Vraylar, with 140 patients already receiving the treatment. She has a unique perspective on Jimmy Kimmel's cancellation last week and his return to the airwaves. Wanda Sykes was about to go on Kimmel's show when it was preempted. Still ahead, her take on free speech in the U.S. Also, if you have a news tip, text us at 10400. Starbucks plans to close hundreds of stores across North America. Joining me is Robert Geary, investment advisor with the Popowich Carmeli Advisory Group. And Robert, Starbucks is downsizing and cutting some jobs.
Yeah, this is in the midst of a restructuring that they've been through for the last year on their new CEO, Brian Nichols. And, I think this is an interesting one. This is their second stage of layoffs. So we're going to see stores closing here in North America and Canada, probably Calgary. So if you have a store that is people just going to get their coffee and leaving, and you don't see a ton of people hanging around, second guess that store may be open going forward. They're going to be looking at some of those stores that you don't attract people to sit down, hang out, spend more as part of their culling experience here. So, yeah, employees are going to hear on Friday if this is their store or not. We'll have to see, which ones make it. I think this is a very interesting one, too, because on the stock side of things, normally when you get a restructuring like this, you get the stock up because this is the start of profit margin increase, but we did not see that in the market, so the market was expecting more from this turnaround.
Meantime, some Canadians could get in trouble for their TFSA contributions.
I think this is a very interesting one, and the CRA comes out with how much the assessed fines were every year. And so this is from last year. 2024 was 166 million. That is the highest number on record of assessed over contribution penalties. Now, you get assessed a penalty if you are over, and then it is assessed 1% every month going forward. They said it's about 1% of the accounts that are being assessed these penalties. So there's a couple reasons why this is happening. One is that you can have multiple TFSAs at different institutions where it's tough to track. You can have a work program where you forget about it. And then the other one is if you're using CRA numbers to audit that, they only get the numbers sent to them from financial institutions twice a year at most. And so if you're looking at those numbers and the CRA has been, I would say, somewhat delinquent in updating those at the start of the year, you can run into problems. So audit yourself.
Good to know. Thanks very much.
Appreciate it.
We continue to follow breaking news at Canada Post. Here's Tara Nelson with the look ahead to CTV News at 6.
Hi, Ian. The Union of Postal Workers walked off the job suddenly at 4 o'clock. The nationwide strike is in response to changes that Ottawa announced earlier today that led to the end of most Canadians' home delivery. We'll have the very latest. Also ahead, friends pay tribute to a well-known Alberta doctor who died in a mountain biking crash. Those stories and much more at 6 o'clock. Ian.
Thanks, Tara.
Let me just tell you something. For anybody who's ever been into a ladies' room, there ain't nothing ladylike in there. If you go into a public ladies' room and it's clean, you better play the lottery because you got lucky.
Comedian Wanda Sykes has never been shy about speaking her mind or expressing who she is. Her show in Calgary this weekend comes at a time when free speech has taken an interesting turn in the U.S. And joining me is Wanda Sykes. It's wonderful to see you today.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now, I understand you were booked to be on Jimmy Kimmel's show last week, and then at the last minute, his show was canceled. Tell us about that whole experience.
Well, fortunately, I had something to do earlier that day that was on camera, so I was already in hair and makeup because I'd have been really upset if I got into hair and makeup just for that and didn't get to go on. Getting in glam is not my favorite thing. So anyway, I was now switching over from daytime look to nighttime look. So that basically means bigger eyelashes. and I was heading to the car and I got a call from my, publicist saying, don't bother coming. The show has been preempted because of the administration is upset with what Jimmy said about in reference to this, the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
So what does this whole experience say to you about free speech in the United States?
It's still alive, This really gave me hope. It was inspiring because we got him back on the air. People were like, wait a minute, this is, I think it was a wake-up call really for us to see that how the government can step in and take someone off the air. And I think that was a rally, call for us to do something, and people start canceling their Disney Plus subscriptions.
A second show has been added for Wanda Sykes Saturday at the Jubilee Auditorium. To see my extended interview with her, visit ctvnews.ca/Calgary. It's going to feel a bit more like fall in the coming days. Right now in the city, it's quite summery though, sunny and 24. Danielle has details just ahead. "24 degrees, late September." That's pretty darn good.
It is
be
pretty
a nice
darn
evening.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice evening. Enjoy the evening. A little breezy for the next couple of hours. 24 degrees current temperature, today's daytime high, and 31.1 is the record. So we're nowhere near record breaking, but this is quite nice. Now we're looking at dipping once again. So this is what we've been talking about, is that we'll have a daytime high tomorrow at 18. For all of these days, for the rest of this week, around 8 a.m., your temperature is still in those single digits. So cool starts to the day, getting up to a high of 18 for tomorrow. Well, that says sunny. It will be sunny for much of the day, just a little bit of cloud cover in the early morning hours. Back to the 20s for Saturday, and then back to the teens, as you can see by the time we get into Sunday. Overall, a nice weekend ahead.
Thank you, Danielle. Canada's women's team is just 2 days away from its showdown with mighty England in the Rugby World Cup final. The team beat New Zealand last Friday to advance to the final. Canada's squad features 6 Albertans and 3 former UFC dinos. Former dinos Dalika Menon, who is from Vulcan, and Emily Tutosi have both started throughout the tournament, while Julia Omakwale has yet to see game action. The final will be Menon's 70th game, the second most by any Canadian women's player. Her sister, who also played for the Dinos, believes in the team.
This game is revolutionary. Like, it's breaking so many barriers that Canada's had. I have every confidence that that Canada will rise to the occasion against England on Saturday.
The Calgary Rugby Union is hosting a watch party. The game is also on TSN Saturday at 9 a.m. FIFA has unveiled a trio of mascots for the upcoming World Cup of Soccer in North America.
Good morning, Canada. Time to check.
There's one mascot for each host nation. Maple the Moose represents Canada, Zayu the Jaguar represents Mexico, and Clutch the Bald Eagle represents the United States. FIFA says the characters reflect the vibrant culture, heritage, and spirit of their nations. The mascots will also be playable characters in a new soccer video game called FIFA Heroes. The World Cup happens in June and July of 2026. Thanks for joining us. Now here's the early edition of the CTV National News.